Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted to be joined by Greg. Greg, we're here to talk about Fight of the Year contender, one of the biggest nights of the year, one of the biggest nights in women's boxing. Big fight breakdown for Katie Taylor versus Chantelle Cameron, undisputed super lightweight championship of the world. Know you're a big Katie Taylor fan. Give me your general thoughts on this fight. How big is this fight for you?
Yeah, first of all, Elliot, just thank you so much for having me again. This is a huge fight. I'm a Katie Taylor fan, but I'm also a big believer of Chantelle Cameron. I think she's a fantastic fighter, has done things in boxing the hard way. I've seen Chantelle Cameron from the beginning of her career. I think this fight is a really, really good fight, Elliot. I think it can't fail for both styles of the girls to mix.
Yeah, look, I just think that there's so much to talk about here. Obviously, Katie Taylor, as we know, was supposed to fight Samantha Serrano in a rematch. We all know what happened in the first fight last year. And I feel like what's fantastic about this is Katie Taylor could have had an easier fight. This is obviously the first time she's fighting as a pro in Dublin. And I just think it's fantastic. She's moving up in weight, fighting the undisputed champion of the world, who happens to be undefeated and kind of 5, 6 years younger as well. It's incredible. Yeah, I'm really, look, I know we debate. Some people really like women's boxing at the moment. Some people aren't bigger fans. We can kind of be honest here. Whether you like women's boxing or not, surely you've got to be invested into this fight. It's going to be fantastic. My first question I've got for you, Greg. Katie Taylor, fought Delphine Persoon twice. Amanda Serrano, as we touched on, Natasha Jonas had some come against some top competitors in her pro career. Do you believe this is her toughest test as a pro?
It's crazy hearing you saying that back, Elliot. You just don't realise the good names that Katie Taylor has really been in with. That is a phenomenal resume. I think Chantelle Cameron is right up there, but I think it's based on the timings and things of the fight. Katie Taylor's obviously a little bit older now. She's had hard fights with Amanda Serrano. I think that fight can't fail to have taken something away from you. Natasha Jonas was a hard fight for her as well. Persoon was a very hard fight. Some people thought Persoon won the first fight. Um, Based on the timing and things, I think this is right up there jointly as the toughest fight of her career, alongside Amanda Serrano and Delphine Persoon.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. I think just as kind of like a side question, some people might say, what would if I said to you, Chantelle Cameron's a good fighter, but she hasn't fought kind of the kind of names that Katie Taylor's fought, so you can't rank her as highly in Katie Taylor in kind of a pound for pound list. What would your reaction to that be?
Elliot, forgetting that I'm a Katie Taylor fan, I think that's a really fair analysis. I think Jessica McCaskill, especially after beating Cecilia Brackhouse, that was a phenomenal win for Chantelle Cameron. But aside from that, she's got good solid wins over solid fighters, but not really anyone who jumps out as someone that would be talked about for a mega fight. Whereas Katie Taylor herself, she's got Amanda Serrano, she's fought Jessica McCaskill, Delphine Persoon, Natasha Jonas. These are girls that all have held world titles and multiple world titles, some of them as well. So yeah, I think that's a fair analysis.
Yeah, no, I think so as well. If you don't mind me saying, is this the fight you want to see? I feel like Katie Taylor is at she's at the grander stages of her career now. I think it's debatable how many fights she's got left. As we've said, the Amanda Serrano fight was scheduled there. I think Katie Taylor, she's been linked with fighting Michaela Mayer, possibly. There's Alicia Bumgardner, who's the undisputed champion at super featherweight. Obviously, Katie Taylor's fought most of her career at lightweight. There's still the Amanda Serrano rematch that's rumored to be taking place later this year, should Katie Taylor come through on May 20th. I've mentioned a few names. I mentioned a few names there, Greg. Out of all of those, how high is the Chantelle Cameron fight in terms of how much you want to see it, in terms of kind of entertainment value? How much do you want to see this fight compared to those other names?
Yeah, that's on a par for me, Elliot, alongside Amanda Serrano, or maybe just slightly behind the Serrano fight. I've got to be honest with you, I don't know how I would handle a Katie Taylor loss, but what I would say is now at this stage of her career, I'm watching through the tips of my fingers because everyone has got to start slowing down.
Mm,
Amanda Serrano really tested her. I've never seen Katie Taylor wobbled like that in my life.
mm.
Chantelle Cameron can bang. It's just it's getting to that point in her career. I'm really nervous watching just because I do believe in her. I think she's a fantastic fighter, but every dog has its day, as they say. But yeah, I think it's probably the second best fight that she could go for outside of Amanda Serrano.
Yeah, tough question to ask. Katie Taylor turns 37 in June. This will be her 23rd pro fight. Obviously, she had a fantastic amateur career. How many more fights do you think she'll have? Obviously, she's having this fight in the arena in Dublin, possibly having that Croke Park fight that in September, possibly, maybe a bit later in the
Yeah.
year. How many more fights do you see Katie Taylor having?
Ellie, I want her to have two more fights. I want her to beat Chantelle Cameron. Nothing against Chantelle Cameron, just Katie Taylor's my fighter. Um, I then want to see the Amanda Serrano rematch at Croke Park. If she wins that, I want to see her walk away. If she can't walk away, I would not mind seeing her very carefully going up to 147 and maybe fighting one of the champions that isn't like not a big threat, but a threat enough that she's not going in with someone who's a lot bigger than her. Like we look at guys like Miguel Cotto. They've moved up selectively in weight to fight fighters that maybe at 154 aren't the biggest, or 160 they're not the biggest. Katie Taylor should be allowed to do that as well. But personally, for me, Elliot, I would want to see her beat Chantelle Cameron, beat Amanda Serrano at Croke Park, and walk away.
Yeah, I think that I've always thought someone in boxing who had like the perfect kind of last fight was Carl Froch. And
Yeah,
part of that was because, look, fighting at Wembley Stadium, knocking out kind of a bitter rival, and then
yeah,
and then that being your final fight is a fantastic way to walk out while still on top. And if Katie
yeah,
Taylor can retire, like beating Amanda Serrano at Croke Park, that is the perfect time to retire.
yeah.
And it's a
She
tough
would
one in
retire,
boxing.
Elliot. She would retire on 25-0 as well. It's just got a landmark
Yeah,
to
yeah,
it. She beats
yeah,
Chantelle Cameron, so yeah, I think to answer your question, mate, I think that's probably best. I mean, you said she's 37 this year. By the time that fight comes around, you're looking at 38. So yeah, there's got to be a time in a day.
yeah, yeah. We'll see what happens. Just what I feel like this is a 50-50 fight. I
Yeah,
know kind of a lot of people are struggling for on who they think is going to win this fight, me included.
yeah,
Um, if we've kind of discussed what happens if Katie Taylor wins,
yeah.
say Chantelle Cameron wins, do you think we'd see a rematch?
I think it would depend on the manner of their victory. I think if it was close, yes. I think if Katie Taylor is beat quite comprehensively, I wouldn't be surprised to see her retire. But I think it's a tricky one to say at this stage, Elliot. I think it will really depend on how the fight plays out. Because I think that you're always looking at a Katie Taylor fight now, thinking it could nearly be the end. It could nearly be the end. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see. No, I'm looking forward to this. Like, I'll be honest.
Yeah,
It's such a. We've got all these big fights on May 27th. I'm not
yeah,
sure I'm looking forward to any of them more than I am this fight. It's going to be quite an event. I feel like just the atmosphere in Dublin that night is going to be incredible.
yeah.
Um, we would normally touch on predictions at this time. I feel like I know you are going to do a prediction video for this fight.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to push you for a prediction. I know it's just difficult. Going to give you more time to think about it. If you are watching this video, Greg's prediction video will be out shortly. Please do look out for it. I think we're all dying to know which way he's going to go. I'm going to give my prediction, and
Oh, here we go.
I'm actually going to predict a draw for this fight. I know it's a bit of a. Some people might say I bottled it, but that's the way I see it going. I don't think Chantelle Cameron will do quite enough to beat Katie Taylor in Dublin. I hate saying that. I just think the fact, look, it's in Dublin. I don't think Chantelle Cameron. Look, I've seen Chantelle Cameron fight a couple of times. The last time I saw her fight was at the O2.
Yeah.
and there were no disrespects. Johnny Fisher was fighting that night, and after Johnny Fisher fought, a lot of people just left, and there were
Yeah.
less than 1,000 people in the O2, and the atmosphere was unfortunately very dead by the time we got to Chantelle Cameron fight, which was the main event. It was the night Dillian White was supposed to fight Otto Wallin. The fight didn't
Yes.
happen, but the event still went ahead, thankfully.
Yeah.
Um, and I just wonder what Chantelle Cameron will be like in in an arena where like 100% of the people are screaming for Katie Taylor and people are going mental. It's not the biggest arena, so I think it could be a very intense atmosphere for Chantelle Cameron. And I wonder how she'll react to that from going
Yeah.
to fighting in front of not, just not a lot of people. I think she's had kind of a behind closed doors um, fight as well during lockdown. So
Yeah.
that's kind of my thoughts, and I think that could get to her, and I just think she's not going to stop Katie Taylor in my opinion. So yeah, I think Chantel Cameron might maybe get the upper hand to an extent, but I don't think she'll do enough. So I can see a draw happening and then a rematch happening later in the year.
Yeah, that's a good show. I can't argue with it. It's a very, very hard fight to predict, and I'm glad that you didn't ask me because at this present moment in time, I just don't know. I just don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah. So we'll see. I think like we covered a lot there, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to this one. Is there anything else you would like to add before we call it a day?
I just want to say that I think it's a fantastic fight, Elliot. I'm delighted to be breaking it down with you, and I'm really looking forward to getting the prediction video across and getting more into it in fight week.
Great, good stuff, Greg. Yeah, been a pleasure breaking this down with you, and I'll speak to you again soon. Okay.
Thanks, Elliot. Cheers.